things. Wait, let's see. 14,000 things to be happy about. And it's a book. 14,000 things to be happy about. So let's see if we look at it. And so I'm going to open up, I'm going to read a couple things. Number one, saying your piece. Number two, opening one's eyes a little bit more. Isn't that good? A dream team. Oh man, that is true. 14,000 things to be happy about. A dream team. And then this was my favorite because it's getting colder out. Gore-Tex and Primaloft. So again, the book is what, so if I can do this right. Okay, 14,000 things to be happy about. I feel like we need it today. We need it today. So here we go. I'm going to start the timer. Where's the timer? Start the timer. Okay, so I'm going to get through as many questions as we can. This is FIC, which stands for F if I know, the election edition. All right, so here we go. All right, candidates around the country met with constituents and tried to persuade them during Zoom meetings. The question is, how effective is Zoom in that environment? Now, one of the things we do at AAP is Zoom is like Google, right? It means, or Kleenex. So it just means WebEx or Microsoft Teams. It's the universal term that everybody understands. So how effective is Zoom in that meeting, in that type of environment where it's used for persuasion and that sort of thing? All right, so real quick, my opinion on campaign stuff for like Zoom-like meetings. Was it effective? Okay, in general, I think those Zoom, Microsoft Teams, WebEx, BlueJean, that whole list, that whole crew, they are great for education and information. So yes, entertainment, sometimes. Inspiration, sure. But I have spent, and I did the quick math here, so I hope you all are proud of me. I've spent 2,108 hours in virtual meetings and events since March. 2,108 hours. I feel like that rivals most people. So in that time, here's what I have yet to experience. In all 2,108 hours, I have yet to experience anything electrifying. You know that feeling you get when you're at a concert or when you're in a large group of people, it's 400, 500, 1,000, 10,000 people. There's like an energy that happens or gets created when all those people are there for the same reason or the same cause. That excitement, I have yet to experience that in a virtual meeting. I have done really cool things, and we tout ourselves as doing really cool things in the virtual environment, which we do, but I haven't had that experience yet. So if you have, let me know about it. Andrea at aap.events. Email me, let me know about your experience. I'll tell other people about it. But I do think those are kind of best reserved in person. There is some cool stuff on the horizon, though, that is, like mimics this sort of being in person type of feeling, but it is nowhere near close to what I would call affordable. So I would say that's the thing you miss on those Zoom meetings when people did town halls and debates and stuff. There's no electricity. It's kind of a bummer, but everything else works great. For rallies, from rallies to credibility, money plays a big role in a candidate's campaign. Similar to this, events have a wide range of costs, but the question is, as we transition into in-person events, how do costs change, specifically in regards to current or to following regulations? Like, would I have to rent out a bigger location? What does that look like? All right, so we're doing that right now. We are easing our way back into events. And so one of the things, or in-person events, and one of the things we have to check is every state has regulations and they are specific and none of them are the same. So it is getting really, really, really difficult for us to keep track of what's what. But will the cost, to answer the questions, will the costs change? Yeah, they do. They have. I mean, I'm just being honest. I know that there's a bunch of people who would say it equals that. It's more. It's more. So right now we're implementing for an event that we have coming up early part of January. We're implementing a system for check-in, like guest check-in. Some people call it registration. We're actually not doing on-site registration anymore during COVID. Just to each his own, makes it easier for us. You have to pre-register for everything. But for this, you go basically, it's like a kiosk, like the airport. So it's a kiosk. You go to it and you check in, right? There's a couple ways to check in. And then your badge prints out, like your name badge, everything. And you don't really have to touch anybody and nobody has to touch you or any of your stuff. So it's really, really fast. It's usually within 20 to 30 seconds. So if you're interested, let me know. I'll tell you more about it. I love it. But that being said, there's kind of some things that I want to talk about with this. Oh my God, it's so fast. It goes so fast. A couple things I want to talk about that happened this week for our clients when they're talking about costs. One is what I would refer to as price. You really need to think about your ticket price during this situation because it's tough, right? You are not going to get, maybe, but I doubt it, based on just regulations, you're not going to get the same amount of people for events necessarily for the in-person portion. So then people wonder, how do you price tickets for that? Right? So that was a big discussion for us over the summer and recently in the fall. And so we kind of have 5 main drivers. You ready? Here they are. Driver number 1, how many people are buying a ticket, like number of people attending, and then how many do we think are going to go online, right? Those are 2 different numbers. So we are offering all of our events as a virtual option. Can I just say everybody should be doing that? If you're doing an in-person event, you need to have a virtual option if you don't want to get yourself in the place of giving away, giving refunds back to people because they can't come for whatever reason. So virtual option. And then number 2, anticipated sponsor revenue. 3, promotion time. 4, like how much time do you have to promote the event? That makes a difference in your ticket pricing. Excitement and exclusivity factors. Those are big. And then the 5th thing, the 5th major driver when we talk about pricing and pricing tickets is what the market will bear. Super important. All right, next question. People all over the country are refreshing news sites today, checking for updates as we await election results. There is a cloud of nervousness around the country. I call it anxiousness. That's what I would call it. This anticipation is also present on event days. The question is, what are some best practices to prepare for increased traffic fluctuations on websites, and or how can we anticipate technical difficulties that will happen during virtual events? Okay, brilliant question. Brilliant. So this is an excellent question to ask your virtual platform people, whoever you choose, because and the question is, how many people can be on this event at the same time? How many people can be on this event at the same time? Now, they'll all tell you unlimited, or we haven't had a problem yet with traffic, or any number of answers that sounds like that. But here's what I know for sure. There is a number that those folks have tested, because I guarantee you, if I asked my favorite platform people right now, have you ever tested 12 million people being on your site at one time? I would bet every dollar I have, they would say, no, not 12 million, right? And that's not to say that my event has 12 million, but I don't want to have an event on the same day that someone else or that multiple people are having these massive events online, and then my little poor event gets slowed down. What? Lame. So I always like to know that answer about traffic fluctuations, is being prepared for the increase in traffic fluctuations and what that could look like and how does that affect my event. Okay, both presidential candidates continue to emphasize their passions for speaking to the American public. This face-to-face interaction could possibly sway voters, just as we saw campaign candidates in different states during the last stretch. The question is, can pre-recorded virtual events have the same impact? Okay, this is my last question, I promise. And then I gotta do some other stuff. I gotta go. But this is a great question. So we fight this battle all day long with our customers, our clients. So pre-recorded content is marvelous. It is easy. It is predictable. It is controllable. But imagine if all content was pre-recorded. What if your nightly news was pre-recorded? It would not be as cool. What if all of this was pre-recorded? Who's watching this, right? So, and by this, I mean the election stuff going on that, we just flipped to this little screen to do this little fic episode, but ultimately it's going to go back to the news in just a minute. But one thing I'll say about pre-recorded content is it's a balance between pre-recorded and live. I think there's value to both. But when it is pre-recorded, the production quality really should be better. Because if there's one last thing that people want to do right now is be on a WebEx meeting, but they certainly don't want to watch a WebEx meeting, right? So the production quality of your pre-recorded content really should be a tad above, I recorded this on a Zoom meeting. Okay. There's some people that do this, like us. So give us a call if you want to, or someone else that does it, but still up the pre-recorded game. All right. With information. Okay. This is the last one. President Trump held in-person events and VP Biden did the same at the very end. Question is, what are some considerations people need to have when transitioning back to in-person events? Well, that's a big time question. That is a big time question. I am out of time, but I promise I'll get to it next week. And hopefully I can get to it next week. But we just, like I said, we're going back into these in-person events and there are so many more considerations. And I mean, beyond masks and hand sanitizers and Lysol wipes and, how the process works. It's a lot to think about. Perception is a big deal that you have to manage. So anyway, we'll talk about it next week. I'm getting out of here. Here's a few things I want you to know before we go. One, feel free to send any questions that you have. Send them to Andrea, Andrea, at aap.events. That is Andrea at aap.events. We check that every week before we go live, and we'll pull your questions and we'll answer them. So be sure to check that out. Email me. Somebody checks it. I do too. And then follow us on social medias on most platforms, Instagram, Facebook. You can find us at allaboutpresentation.com or at allaboutpresentation. So follow us on social medias, Twitter, the bar fight that is Twitter. If you ever watch Twitter, it's like one big bar fight. So if you follow us on Twitter, it's VA Event Planner. And then share this with your friends. If you liked it, you enjoyed it, share it. Share, please. All right, we'll see you again next Wednesday, 2:00 right here for the next episode of Fuck If I Know. See you all then. Have a great week. We will hopefully have a president by then. Talk to you all soon. Have a good one.